Hello, my elegant warriors. Today, I am going to talk to you about something that you have all asked for. I've received more emails with this question than any other topic, and that is, how do I get into delight? If I am not feeling in that mode of delight, how do I get there? Because a lot of times we're just not there. So I'm going to teach you 3 ways to get into delight when you are not feeling it. But first, I want to share a few things with you. The first thing is on September 30th at noon Eastern, I am going to teach a masterclass on how to persuade and influence with delight. Because delight is wonderful in a number of ways. It changes our chemistry, it makes us feel good, and it makes us so much more effective at asking for what we want and actually getting it. It is such an effective energy to do that. And so in this masterclass, I am going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to teach you some of the tools I used for 25 years as a trial attorney, and I'm going to teach you some of the tools that I've used through hypnosis, both being a hypnosis connoisseur since I was 20 years old and in my certification. So if you're interested in learning how to persuade and influence with delight so that you can get more time, more money, more resources, more opportunities, more fun, sign up for that masterclass. If you can't be there live, we'll send you the recording totally free. The link is in the show notes. I also want to share last week was my birthday. Many of you reached out on all the socials to wish me a happy birthday, and I'm so grateful. It was one of the best birthdays I can remember. I went on a date with someone that I really enjoy. I had dinner the next night with a friend. I'm going today for brunch with more friends. I received so many beautiful messages. I received lots of flowers and just feel so full of delight right now, which is an amazing thing. So I'm very, very grateful to you. And I hope you all have similar experiences in your life because it really was so very special. I want to start with a warning because delight is really powerful. It really does change everything. And so you need to be willing to change things in order to really access the delight. Because if you're afraid of your life changing, if you're afraid that things might get too good, or I don't know what to do if things get too good, then this isn't going to be accessible to you. But if you are ready for a major change in your life, then you are ready to get into this delight. Now, last week, the whole episode was on why delight is so powerful. And one of the things I talked about that I really want to underscore here, because even my friend that I went out with on Friday night, she did not, this had not landed for her. So I want to make sure it lands for you. Delight is not joy. We cannot always access joy. It is available in almost every moment, but it's a difficult thing to access when we are feeling angry, frustrated, sad, and all of those things. Delight is different from joy. It's just like I don't love the word gratitude. For me, it feels heavy. I like delight and I like appreciation. Those words feel lighter. And I'll probably do future episodes on those because the root of those words are very different. And I believe that the words carry the energy. So put that aside. Another word difference that is out there is the difference between wanting and desiring and needing. And I'm going to talk about that in a future episode too, because those 3 words have very different roots, very different meanings, and very different energies. But for our purpose today, you do not want to be aiming for joy. That might be too far a reach for you, but you do want to be aiming for delight because the root of the word delight is pleasure. And you can feel pleasure in a job well done, even if it was very, very difficult. You can feel pleasure in taking care of your children and knowing that you are serving as a good parent, even when they've got you off the wall, angry and frustrated. You can feel pleasure in building up your reputation at work, even if you're feeling impatient. Delight is pleasure, it's charm. You can be charming even when you're a little bit angry too. And so knowing that you're aiming for delight and not joy is going to be really helpful for you as we go through these 3 steps. When you are not there, people feel the difference. So I want to share with you the story of one of my clients. This client is a female CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, and she is often running late. And I don't love that for her. I feel like rather than running late, she should be doing a little bit more running. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But she is often running late. She's running late for our meetings. She's running late for when I go there to help them to do some workshops and such. She's often late. I know she's late for the next meeting because she allows our meeting to run over. She's often running late. And when she comes to things, as a result, she's often a little bit harried, a little bit frustrated, a little bit overwhelmed. And that is not delight. She is not in delight. And in our most recent meeting, she came to the meeting late and she was frustrated and she was overwhelmed and she was a little bit resentful because someone had taken up more of her time than she intended that morning. And she was prepping for a big board meeting. And she was a little bit anxious about that as well. And as a result of all this work that she had going on and all this prepping, she had not been running in a long time. And running for her was a form of a way of movement that brought her to delight. And she had not been running forever. And so in our session, I recommended that she go running and before the board meeting. And she said, I can't go running. I need to continue to prepare. I need to look over my notes. I need to do all this work. And I said to her, running is going to be so much more of an effective preparation than all of that. If you run, you will get into delight because that is one of your sources of delight. And when you get into delight and you go into that board meeting with delight, they will feel it. You will feel it. You will be more effective. You will ask for what you want and get it. Thankfully, she listened to that recommendation and she went for a run. And that board meeting was one of the most effective board meetings that she has ever had because she was in delight. It didn't mean that she was joyful. She wasn't off the wall excited. She was still anxious. She was still nervous, but she had tapped into her own delight with that run, and that had made all the difference. So let's talk about 3 ways that you, whoever you are watching, can get into your delight. The first way, and before I do this, I do want to share that it's really important that you know that you have got to recognize that you are your own authority. I'm going to share 3 ways. You might find that these don't work for you, or one works better than others, but not in the way that I describe it. There's no problem there. I do not pretend to be some sort of all knowing guru. What I do know is that I have been able to do this in my life to great, great, great results, and that hundreds of people that I have coached have been able to find delight and then ask for what they want and get it to great results. And so use this as a guide, but I never want people listening or the people I coach to think that I am the authority. You are the authority on you, always. My job is just to share with you the things I've read and the hundreds of thousands of books I've read, my psychology degree, all the hypnosis, all of my experiences, all of the things. So let's go through. The first thing is move. Movement can bring delight. And the movement itself is up to you. For that client, running is her thing. It brings her to her delight. Running used to be my thing. It's not anymore. My body does not like to run anymore. Pilates used to be my thing. I'm certified in teaching Pilates. I don't do a lot of Pilates anymore. It hurts my hip. It makes me feel a little bit more sore. It makes my neck feel a little bit more sore. Yoga used to be a big thing for me. It's not anymore. How I get into my delight now is dancing. I love to dance. Dancing allows me to step into my delight, not like dancing like samba or tango, not a formal dance, just dancing around my apartment. That gets me into delight. The other thing that gets me into delight is shaking it out. You know, when I was a little kid in kindergarten, the teachers would have us stand up and just shake it out in the room. And I always loved that. And now I do that in my apartment and I love it. It feels good for me to shake it out, to just get things moving. And when I shake, and if I catch myself in the mirror doing it, it makes me laugh, which of course is a beautiful source of delight. So you have to figure out what it is for you. What is it that brings you to that delight? And then what brings the energy? What changes the energy in your body? For many people, it might be breath work. Breath work is amazing for moving the energy around. And in moving the energy around, you may be able to find that delight. So the first thing is movement. Allow movement to get you to delight. Find the movement that works for you. Walking, hiking, breath work, shaking it out, dancing, whatever the case may be, find the thing that gets you into delight. So number 1 is movement. Number two, I'm calling words, but it really encompasses so much more than that. So, words are magic. The words that we use have power in them. And so, you want to be very aware of the words that you are choosing to use when you talk to yourself and when you talk to others. But when you talk to yourself, the words that you use and how you combine them can get you into delight. I'm a quote girly. I love me a good quote, and a good quote can change my energy. If I'm in a place that's not feeling so great, I will look at some of the quotes that I have saved. I will look at some of the quotes that I have shared in the past. I will look at some of the quotes from the books that I have read, and they can change my energy from one of any other feeling, frustration, resentment, fear, anger, anxiousness, to one that is closer to delight. And I just keep working on that ladder until I can get to delight. So quotes are one. Another form of words is comedy and humor. Don't forget to laugh. We think that we need a reason to laugh, but you've got to get yourself laughing and then you will find more reasons to laugh. So watch something on TikTok that makes you laugh. Look for the comedy that makes you laugh. Remember something that makes you laugh. Watch someone else laughing and that may make you laugh. But sometimes the words can be funny enough that they can get you into laughter. Affirmations. I'm certified in hypnosis and I am really big on affirmations. Words like I am ready. I am a miracle. I am a delight. I am an allower. These are some of the words that I repeat to myself on the regular to get me to that source of delight. I repeat to myself a lot. I am a delight. I am a delight. I am a delight. I am a pleasure. I am a charmer. I am delighted. I am delightful. I repeat that to myself. And that repetition gets me to that place. And what's actually great about it is when I am feeling nasty, angry, resentful, and I tell myself I am delightful, it makes me laugh because I'm self aware enough to know in those moments I am not delightful. And me telling myself that I am makes me laugh and have a sense of humor about myself, and that I'm not always going to be delightful or delighted. So those affirmations are helpful. Another form of words that's really helpful is storytelling. Stories are a phenomenal way to change your energy. Tell yourself a story of when you were delightful. Tell yourself a story of when you were strong. Tell yourself a story of where things were funny. I read a really good book called Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. And in that book, he talks a lot about ways that we can become better storytellers. And one of the things he says is at the end of every day, make a little note in your phone or on a computer or in a journal about the story from that day. And I try to tell myself stories of delight. Now, I don't always get there. Sometimes days are rough. But even those days, one of my favorite quotes is when you're having a bad day, think of it as a comedy instead of a tragedy. And you can often find humor in the tragedy if you're open to it. And a lot of times with words, we can use the words, the stories, the humor, the affirmations to open us up. And then another way to sort of tap into words is hypnosis, because once we put the conscious mind at rest, we can use words with the subconscious mind to let the subconscious mind know that it's safe to be in delight, that it's safe to be delighted, that it's safe to be pleased and pleasing and look for pleasure everywhere. Those things are safe for us. And hypnosis allows the subconscious to actually hear those words and to believe them. So the first way is movement. Find a way that works for you. Experiment with this. You're not going to find it the first time, maybe, but move it around, shake it, dance, sing, do cartwheels, do somersaults, go for a run, go for a walk, uh, make out with your partner. Find a movement that is going to put you into delight. Number one. Number two, words. What form will those words take? Again, it's up to you. Humor, stories, affirmations, quotes. And some of you are visual people and you see pictures. I wish I was that way. I was listening to a podcast the other day with a woman who visualizes all the time the things that she wants in the future. That is not the way my brain works, but I'm tapping into it a little bit and recognizing that stories, words are more effective for me. That is the second way. Words, stories, pictures even that bring you into delight. And the third thing is, and this is really the secret, it's curiosity. One of my favorite questions, especially when I'm not feeling great, is what would delight do? What would delight do in this moment? What would delight do in this circumstance? And getting curious about that. Even if I'm not going to do that thing, even if that thing is not yet accessible to me, asking myself and wondering what would delight do opens things up. I often tell the people in the Belief Builders Academy that if you can't get to the energy that you want, whether it be, confidence or charisma or delight, aim for curiosity. Just get curious about the meeting or the information or the interaction or the discussion that you're about to have. Get curious about the person around you. The other day, I was fortunate enough to be asked to dinner with my I have Wolfie has another family. Lisa and Brian take care of him, and they have become some of my best friends. And Lisa had a birthday dinner, and she invited me. And I sat next to her aunt, and her aunt's a real estate agent, but she started because her then boyfriend said, "Why don't you go out and try to do this? I think you might be good at it." And it cracked me up because she was so in delight when she went on her first listings that it was contagious and it was magnetic and people wanted her as their real estate professional. But she was really in delight because she was so curious. She was learning. She'd go into these apartments and she'd be like, "Oh my goodness, what about this? Tell me about this. Look at this." Very curious about the apartment, curious about what was going on outside. And that curiosity was delightful. And curiosity can be delightful. Your wonder, your questions are magic. And so if you can't get into a feeling where you feel in delight, get into a feeling where you feel curious. Why am I not in delight? What is the closest thing to delight? I often talk about this ladder of feelings. If you can't get into delight, which may be too high for you on the ladder, try to get into curiosity. Why am I not in delight? How could I get closer to delight? What feeling is the next available feeling that feels better? How can I feel better? What movement would make me feel better? What words would make me feel better? And a lot of the best way to get into delight is curiosity about the other. Are they in delight? How could I get them more delighted? How could I be more delightful to this person? Service is delightful. Some of my best sources of delight are you. When I hear back from you that a podcast impacted you, that one of the ideas that I shared on social media made a difference, when I hear, and I'm going to start sharing some of the testimonials from my Academy members, that is delightful to me to the nth measure. Getting curious about how can I serve them better? How can I make this more delightful for them? How can they be more delighted with what they learn in this curriculum is so powerful for me. That curiosity can bring me to delight. The last thing that is imperative that I say to you is that if you are not in delight, you are not doing it wrong. I am not in delight every moment of the day. Now, when I'm not, I work to get there and I try not to do things like this podcast. I'm not going to record a podcast if I am in frustration, resentment, or whatever. That means I often have to reschedule them. If you're a frequent listener, you know I get migraine headaches. If I have a migraine headache on a day that I plan to record a podcast, or even a headache, not even a migraine, even if I'm not down and out, I don't record if I'm in that energy of pain, discomfort, frustration, resentment, not fairness that I sometimes feel when I have those headaches. So I am not always in delight. You are not doing it wrong if you are not in delight. It's just something to look for, to get curious about, and to go up that ladder and get closer and closer, whatever that means for you in a given day. But the three ways you are most likely to get there are with movement, you choose the movement, words, you choose the words, and curiosity, asking what would get you there, and even more powerful, what would get the people around you there. And then once you're there, you become magic. You can ask for what you want and get it. You become so good at persuading and influencing the people around you and asking for what you want and getting it time and time and time again. And that's the work that we're doing in the masterclass on September 30th at noon. If you are interested, the link to sign up for that is in the show notes. I would love to see you there. It would be delightful. And if you can't come, I will send you, the team will send you the recording afterwards, but please come live. Ask your questions. Get curious about this. It will be a delightful hour of your life in the middle of the day, and it will be well worth it. So hopefully I will see you there. In the meantime, have a great week and take good care.